All right, folks, it's time for our favorite episode, our favorite show, Cut to the Chase. I brought back breaking news. I brought back Mike Burns. So I know everybody here has listened to all 66 of my episodes. So of course you know who Mike Burns is. Do I need to remind you that he's one of the lead attorneys on the 3M combat earplug litigation? He works with the Moston law firm. No, I don't need to do that. And before I cut to the chase, I was, listen, it's breaking news. So I was like, all right, should I shave or should I cut to the chase? And then, I have to be honest. I went to the mirror and I pulled out the razor and I said, I'm so handsome as it is. Why would I do that? So here we are. Mike, take over. Tell us, we had the 11th and 12th soldiers get their day in court and have their trial, and let us hear the results.
Yeah, it was glad to be back on to Cut to the Chase. It's my first time for 2022 to be on Cut to the Chase. So I appreciate it. You got me squeezed in the month of January. So
yes.
that was great work on your part, Greg. Yeah. Well, we just had a great day in court. We've had a great couple weeks in court for 2022 with Ron Sloane and Will Wayne up here in Pensacola, Florida, in the consolidated bellwether case in front of Judge Casey Rogers. And it was a great day yesterday when the jury came back, an excellent jury that was picked by lead attorneys Bryan Aylstock, Dave Buchanan, Shelley Hudson, and Mike Sackett out of Minnesota. The jury came back with a plaintiff's verdict for both of these gentlemen, great soldiers who served the country honorably in the United States Army, with a total plaintiff's verdict of $110 million for our two U.S. Army soldiers. It was a great case. And if you want me to break it down for you, Greg, I will. For Ron Sloane, he was awarded $15 million for compensatory damages. That's damages that he gets related to his future medical costs and what his value of his life would be for the next 33 years, because he was, I think his age expectancy was 79. So you can do the math on, I think he's 46 years old. And then they gave him $40 million in punitive damages. So total award to Ron Sloane for $55 million. And then we shift over to, Ron was a drill sergeant in the United States Army, spent 3 tours overseas, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. And I know his wife, Kelly, and his 2 children are going to be really happy with that. We're going to have some ways to go on the appeals, but it was just really good to do that for him and his family. And then Will Wayman, another excellent guy. And Will unfortunately suffers from PTSD from his exposures in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was an Army Ranger and a Black Hawk helicopter pilot and flew medevac missions while he was in the United States Army. Both of these soldiers retired 20 plus years in the Army. In Will's case, he received $10 million for compensatory damages, $5 million for future medical expenses, and $40 million in punitive damages, equaling $55 million for him as well, for a total of $110 million for these 2 plaintiffs in this case. Great case, great case.
All right, so just remind the audience, we've got compensatory damages is what the jury awards you, or awards Ron and Will to get, compensated for their injuries and their future medicals and all that. Explain what punitives are and why is punitives involved in this case?
Well, punitives are involved, and it breaks down based upon what state law applies in this particular case. In this case, in Ron's case, it was Tennessee law, and it was Kentucky law. He lives in Tennessee now, but he was in Kentucky and his last duty station. And with Will, it was Colorado. That's where he was for his duty station. That's where he the injury, one of the injuries occurred, and but mainly the injuries overseas. The punitive damages are to punish 3M for their behavior, their reckless behavior, and not withdrawing these earplugs from the market, never recalling these earplugs, never advising the military that they knew that there was a problem with these earplugs. And part of that hinges on one of the documents. It's the plaintiff's general exhibit 0001, and it's called the Flange Report. And the Flange Report was written by one of the 3M inventors of the earplug and scientists, as well as the so-called expert fitter. They knew that there was a problem with the earplug early on when it failed and did not get the noise rating that it was supposed to get in this particular case. And they never told the military about that until 2015. And that's when the product basically got, hey, we can't sell this anymore because it doesn't have the noise reduction rating on it that it's supposed to, or that we claim that it has.
All right, so in the most simplistic way, can you explain what went wrong with these products? These are earplugs that you put in your ears that they're supposed to be, that are used to like basically keep the loud sounds, the explosions from, you know, the sound of those from entering, you know, your ear canals. So what happened with these earplugs that made them defective?
Well, Rick, the main problem with the plug is it's too fat, too stiff, and too short to give you a seal on your ear. Both ends are symmetrical. So from that standpoint, it doesn't matter if you put the green end or the yellow end, the problem is still the same. So it has what they call imperceptible loosening. So the soldier is doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he doesn't know that the earplug comes loose in his ear. Because one end is supposed to let some sound in so that you can be hear what's going on, situational awareness. The other end's supposed to block it out. And the problem is those are things: too short, too fat, too stiff. That's the problem with the earplug. And of course, the next one, which is really the largest one, they claimed that it had a noise reduction rating of 22. And in all actuality, it had an 11. And really 11 is, in our minds, is half of 22. But in earplug talk, the 11 is only 10% of 22. So it's really, it didn't do what it was supposed to do for the soldiers. And 3M knew it wasn't going to work. And this is another thing, Greg. This is the only dual-ended earplug that there has ever been on the market, ever. And once it was discontinued, or as 3M would say, we advanced and made other versions of this earplug, there has never been another dual-ended earplug. You know, and I know, if it would have worked, everybody would be making it, but it didn't work.
Wow, not to make light of it, but you know, when you're saying too fat, too stiff, and too short, you know, I'm almost thinking of my like efforts to get a prom date, you know, and the reasons I was given, you know, why, you know, the 20 girls said no, but that's besides what. All right, so Ron, Sloane, Will, what did they suffer? Hearing loss, ringing of the ears? I know you said PTSD. That's kind of new. I didn't know that that was sort of one of the injuries that these soldiers were suffering because of this.
Well, it's not. Now, I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong here, Ron suffers from PTSD. The PTSD has to do with other things that he was exposed to while he was in theater in Iraq and Afghanistan. Ron had a, we were sitting there last night or the night before, and Ron said this when he testified. He goes, this is not like the movies, okay? That's what he said. This is not like the movies. This is real life. Yeah. And unfortunately for Will was a helicopter pilot. He was on the ramp, and there was a mortar attack. Will's name used to be Will Brown, and his best friend was one of the mechanics on his helicopter. He was a helicopter medic, flying the Black Hawk helicopters, and he flew just hundreds of operations. And unfortunately, a mortar came and it landed like 5 feet from his buddy Will Brown, and he rushed over there, tried to give assistance and everything, and his brother Will Brown and his brother's in arm, he passed away and died right there from that.
Yeah.
And so Will's tragic story was every time he would log in to do his flight missions, he would log in his name, Will Brown. And of course, the other Will Brown would come up on the thing. And it created such a problem for him. He took his wife's name,
Yeah.
Will Wayman. And
Wow.
she's also an Army helicopter pilot. She was a captain. So these guys, it's real life stories. And but it's real life is what it really is.
Yeah.
And these guys have done their best to serve our country. And 3M, came out, you protect us, we'll protect you. And they failed. They failed our U.S. soldiers.
Unbelievable. So, all right. So we have 250,000 other soldiers that are involved in this litigation. Where do we go from here? Where does the court take us?
Well, we've got 3 more trials coming up in the month of March. So February, we're doing more depositions as Judge Rogers prepares a waive case. These are the last 5 bellwether cases that are coming up. We have Luke Vilsmeyer. His case is a court's pick. The court selected him for trial, and that's on March the 14th. That'll be here in Pensacola. Then we have a defendant's pick trial, which will be on 3/14 as well. And that's going to be Steve Wilkerson. That trial will take place over in Tallahassee up here in the Northern District of Florida. Then we go back to another woman. Remember, we had one lady that we had a trial with. This one will be Denise Kelly. That trial will be March the 28th in Pensacola. And then we have 2 more trials in April and May to finish out the 25 bellwether cases.
All right. So just to remind the audience, what is a bellwether case? You're saying that some are plaintiff's cases, some are defense cases, and some are the court cases. So just explain briefly
Correct.
what all those terms mean.
Sure thing. So the bellwether case is a collection of the pool of all the cases. At the time, Greg, we had 160,000 cases. Right now, we're just under 300,000 cases in the number of cases that the plaintiff's lawyers represent against 3M. When judge selected the bellwether pool, there was 160,000 cases. And what she did, she picked a group that was representative of all the cases in there. And at that time, the representative group was a little over, just around 50% of those cases were Army soldiers. They were between the ages of 29 and 49. They had used the earplugs between 2003 and 2015, and they had hearing loss and or tinnitus, the ringing in the ears. And so that's what the bellwether group represents. She had 25 of those cases that were selected. A couple of those have gone by the wayside, whether the plaintiffs have dismissed those cases as we've gone forward. But what we have left is she selected basically in every pool, A, B, C, D. Plaintiffs got to pick two people out of the pool. Defendants got to pick 2 people out of the pool. The court picked 1 person out of the pool, and then there was an alternate that the court picked. So that's how the selection process went.
Okay. And so I know there's some talk of settlement, and I know,
Yes.
strategically, people don't want to show their cards or whatever, but what can you tell us about settlement talks?
Well, I can tell you that they're ongoing, that Judge Rogers appointed Magistrate Judge Falk out of New Jersey to assist with the settlement process. Judge Falk was the chief magistrate in New Jersey federal court for over 20 years. He recently retired, and she has appointed him to assist the special master in trying to land this case and for all the plaintiffs.
Yeah. All right. So 12 soldiers have gone to trial, 7 have won, 5 have lost.
Yeah, we like to calculate a little differently. We like to say we've won 9, because we had a consolidated trial, the first one, where we won 3 with Estes, Hacker, and Kiefer. And then, of course, this one, we won 2 with Ron Sloane and Will Wayman. We've won with Camarillo, and we also won with, I'm trying to think who the other one is, Adkins. So that may be 7. You may be right.
All right. So yeah, we're lawyers. We're not, mathematicians.
Right. I think it is. We've won 9 cases with 7 plaintiffs, something like that. Anyway.
Okay.
You're right.
All right. Well, listen, all right. So, and the last thing I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned on another episode that the Judge Rogers, who's in the Northern District, who's handling all these cases and has tried all these cases, at some point, if the settlement doesn't take place, she's going to remand the cases to the judges where these cases were originally filed.
That's go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. You tell us what's going on with that.
So what she's done is, and she's brought in a couple extra judges to help her on these cases. She'll have actually 5 other judges helping her on the next 5 cases. She's tried the majority of the cases, but she's also brought in a couple other judges from the Northern District and some from your area down in South Florida. But what she'll do is she makes you designate the form. So where would you bring your case if you had to bring your case? And let's just say, for example, since we're up here in LA, Lower Alabama, let's say your case was in Birmingham, Alabama. So you would tell that the venue to properly, or the form to properly bring it would be in Birmingham, Alabama. So she would send the case back to Birmingham, Alabama, and the federal judge in Birmingham, Alabama would try the case. She could do that to Norfolk, Virginia, wherever the case would have been properly brought, then that's where the case would go back for trial.
And did she make a decision about when she's going to remand, if she's going to remand,
she has not done that yet, Greg. So she hasn't done that.
All right. I think that pretty much wraps up this breaking news. Two new things. Well, first of all, from what I understand, and I did my calculations early on in this litigation, there still might be 700,000 soldiers out there with hearing loss or tinnitus that have not joined this litigation. And, a lot of them just don't like the courts. They don't trust the lawyers, blah, blah, blah. Well, think about it, because you have been wronged. This phalange report, I wish you could see what we know and what we've seen. And maybe that would change your mind. But if you want to talk, free consultation, there's lots of lawyers out there, including Mike Burns with Mostyn Law Firm, Mostyn in Lower Alabama, LA. All right. He's a rock star. And this is we're going to put this on YouTube, because I got to tell you, folks, the 2 best looking male lawyers, I have decided, Mike Burns and myself. So you get to see us, you can hear us, you can see us. Anyway, spread the word. If there are people out there that that might have, suffered because of this or whatever, they've got legal rights. They should take advantage of those rights. Anyway, Mike, last word. How do you feel?
I feel great. Once again, I want to thank the jury. The justice system in the United States works. And I want to thank the jury for their verdict in the case yesterday. And we look forward to going forward, and look forward again to being on Cut to the Chase. And thanks for having us again, Greg.
All right, that's it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. Subscribe, rate, review, questions, comments. If you have a question you want me to ask Mike, he'll be on the, probably sometime in March after he whoops butt again. All right, everybody. So that's it. Have a good day and stay safe.